Hey, you, it's been a minute, and I don't want to rush past them because sometimes when we go quiet, it's not because we don't have anything to say. It's because life is happening in a way that doesn't always leave room for words. But we're back now, and I'm really glad you're here. Welcome to Mama Never Told Me. This is a soft place to talk about the changes women carry in their bodies and their lives. The things we were never told, but somehow always felt. There's something I've been sitting with lately. Not anger, not even regret, just noticing. Noticing how many things we had to learn late. How many conversations didn't happen when we needed them. How many questions stayed quiet because we didn't even know we were allowed to ask them. And sometimes those conversations don't come from where we expected. They come later, from someone older, from someone who lived it already, from someone who maybe didn't have the language back then either. Today's conversation is one of those. It's between me and my Aunt Addie, and it's not a perfect conversation. It's not polished. It's not tied up in a bow, but it's honest. And sometimes honesty, even when it comes late, still matters. Family real talk for a second. Sometimes it's not just what we went through. It's realizing how much we had to learn on our own. And even now, we're still figuring out how to take care of ourselves in a way that actually feels right. That's why I pay attention to anything that supports the body in a more natural, balanced way. I've been checking out Zevo Life. It's a clean, plant-based superfood that supports your gut, your energy, and your overall wellness. Simple and intentional. If you're in a space where you're ready to pour back into yourself, this might be a place to start. You can use code ReggaeHour, one word, for 20% off. This is an ad, but I'm sharing what aligns with the journey.
Hey, Natty. Thank you for doing this interview with me. I just wanted to ask a couple of questions, about like with women going through menopause or how it affects their bodies, perimenopause. Did you notice a difference when you went through?
Yes, I actually experienced menopause at a very early age. In 1999, I was diagnosed with cervical cancer, and I had been going back and forth to Houston to the women's hospital and trying to save, because I wanted more children. At this point, I had a daughter that had been born in 98. This was 99. After I got the diagnosis of cervical cancer and I went through treatments at the women's hospital down in Houston, I was actually going once a month getting a nuclear injection to cure this cervical cancer.
Right.
And during the time I was going through this, I was also having a lot of blood loss, like lots of blood loss.
Sometimes when a woman talks about blood loss like that, it's not just about what the body is going through. It's about what's being taken slowly over time. And I keep thinking about what it means to still want children while your body is already being asked to give so much. There's a kind of quiet tension in that doesn't always get named.
So it got to the point where my doctor suggested, let's just go ahead and have a total hysterectomy.
And that's what I was feeling just before she said it.
And I think I was 35 at the time. Mm-hmm. And so from that point on, I had to be placed on hormone replacements, estrogen.
Okay.
And I'm still on it to this day. Now, if I don't take my estrogen, I do have hot flashes. I become very irritable. So I try not to run out of it, but I do take estrogen, so 2 milligrams every day.
You can feel the difference when you don't take it and versus when you do take it.
Right.
There's replacement therapy.
Right. There has been times when I'm like, I don't really think I need this. I'm not going to take it. Mm-hmm. So I may be out for a couple of days and I can feel myself getting very irritable. And also I will have night sweats, wake up soaking wet.
Yeah, that part. Waking up out of nowhere, too hot, no warning, like your body just decided to do its own thing. I know that feeling.
And there's been times I've run out of my prescription and a day or two lapsed and I feel totally different.
Oh, wow. And so you've been taking these for a while now?
Since 1999. My daughter's almost 28. Mm-hmm. So about 28 years.
And how did the cancer go?
Well, I had everything removed, yeah.
They removed it all?
Yeah, and at the time, I was married, and people, especially Black men, have this misconception that, once a woman gets everything removed, her cervix, her ovaries, all of this, she doesn't have a desire for sex. And they feel like, the woman is no use to them anymore. But that's totally not true. Mm. I found that after I was completely well and I was on hormones, I actually had an increased sex drive.
Eric, all you husbands, listen up, pay attention.
I had another friend of mine that told me that she was in her early 30s and had to end up with the total hysterectomy. And she said that it, in fact, later on, increased her libido also.
Yeah.
She had ended up having a high sex drive.
Yeah, that's what I've experienced. I don't know if it's the estrogen that does it, but I've never had a problem.
Did you notice like any heart palpitations or brain fog or anything like that? High blood pressure?
Well, I did not at the onset of me taking estrogen. I didn't feel, I wasn't on any high blood pressure medication. I wasn't on any psychotropics. I didn't have any problem as far as physically. I didn't notice any problems when I first got on it. Later on, as the years passed, and I had been on it for a while, I did notice that as I got older, I did begin to develop some, I don't know if it was hereditary or this brought it on out earlier, but I later on was diagnosed with diabetes, high blood pressure, that kind of thing. And I got on medication. But prior to me getting a hysterectomy and years after, I wasn't on anything other than estrogen.
So now you got to take all these pills.
Yes. And that's a different story as to why I have to take these pills.
How long do you think you're going to be on this hormone replacement? Is it for the rest of your life?
Mm-hmm. I still go see my gynecologist every year, get my well woman exam. He still prescribes me the estrogen. I take 2 milligrams every day, and I will be on it the rest of my life. And when I first got on it, I was told, you will have a higher risk of developing another type of cancer.
Right.
But knock on wood, praise God, I have not had any cancers. And I like I say, I go every year and get my well woman exam. I have the same doctor. I've had the same doctor since I've been here. He knows me very well. I know him very well. And he's on top of things. And if I feel sick or feel like something is not right, I call him. I go in, he check. But I haven't, and I get my mammogram every year and everything's been normal. So I haven't had any problems with being on estrogen.
That's good that you have a GYN doctor that you can actually talk to and he'll listen to you about your problems and stuff like that.
That matters more than we realize. Having a doctor you can actually talk to, that's not small. And I've had the opposite, where you leave feeling unheard or brushed off like you're supposed to just accept whatever they say. You're allowed to ask questions. You're allowed to take your time. And if it ever gets to a point where you don't feel supported, you're allowed to find someone who will actually listen to you.
But he doesn't think that that's a long time to be on meds?
Well, that's something I really need to discuss with him. Next time I go, I'm due. I usually get my well woman exam like the 1st of July.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I want to talk with him because I've been on estrogen for so long. I'm wondering if, in fact, I could get off of estrogen. And if I did, what would happen
right
as a result of that? Because I have been on it for so long.
Right.
But he and I have never discussed me actually coming off of it.
But did you tell him, like, obviously before and after, you were not on any medications for diabetes, blood pressure, or anything? Now that you've been on the estrogen, it's just coincidental now that, you have these other issues.
Well, what I would like to say is this. I don't think the estrogen brought on these issues.
Okay.
Back in 2010, I had a traumatic event that happened to me, and I was in the hospital. And while I was there, my blood pressure was really high. It never did come down. My blood sugar was really high. And all of these things were first brought on by trauma.
Okay.
Yeah, I felt that. PTSD is something I carry as well. So when she says trauma, I hear that differently.
And from the trauma that I received and, what had happened to me, that's when I had to get on all these medicines. I had to get on high blood pressure medicine. I had to get on insulin and diabetic medication. I had to get on psychotropics. I was diagnosed with PTSD, but that had nothing to do with estrogen.
Right. Okay.
That was brought on from a traumatic event that happened to me. Because prior to this traumatic event, I wasn't on any medicine other than estrogen.
So with that being said, now, the cortisol, did they ever tell you about cortisol? Like when, I want to say how the doctor explained it to me. When your estrogen level drops, your cortisol can go up. And that can cause disruptions with like brain fog and high heart rate and, more things like that. Have you experienced anything like that?
No, I have not.
Okay.
To say the least, I haven't had any problems taking estrogen. For me, it's been a godsend because, like I said, if I don't take it, I feel I'm sweaty at night. I wake up, I can wring out my gown or whatever. I don't have a cycle. I don't have to worry about any of that happening. I take my estrogen tablet every day. I haven't had any problems with it, any side effects from it.
That's good. Because you got I don't know what's going on with some of these doctors. They don't even want to prescribe. I know, like mine, she told me that, she didn't believe in, I guess, menopause issues.
Well, menopause is very real.
She didn't want to prescribe me anything.
Menopause is very real. And prior to me deciding to have the total hysterectomy, my doctor told me this is going to throw you into early menopause because your ovaries are what produces the hormones, that makes you a woman in who you are.
Right.
And now that's going to be gone. So you're going to be on, he told me this, you will be on hormone replacements the rest of your life.
HRTs.
And he said you will be at a higher risk of developing some type of cancer because you are on estrogen. And when I first started on estrogen, I was on like 1 milligram.
Right.
But as I got older, he increased it to 2 milligrams.
Right. Because you need the estrogen for the rest of your life.
Right.
So that's a godsend. Praise God that it happened.
Yeah.
the way that it did, that with the pills that you're taking, you don't have to worry about any of the issues that you normally get, the brain fog, the forgetting things, the mood swings, the dryness,
I don't have any problems with any of that. I promise you, I don't have any problems with any of that. Well, I don't have dryness. I don't have a lack of desire, none of that. I think I'm living my best life now, but to be honest with you, I think it's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Wow, I didn't expect her to say it like that.
Okay.
That's how I feel about it. Because, when I was sick and going through all this, I didn't want to be bothered. I didn't want to be close to a guy. I mean, I didn't feel good about myself. I mean, I felt dirty because, all this stuff was going on with me, with my body. And then after I got everything cleared up and, got to feeling better, I felt like a woman again. Nice. And it's been that way ever since. It's been good for me. I haven't had any problems, but I have been told that it affects everybody differently.
Yes. Yes. With me personally, I was up in the hospital. High blood pressure, high heart rate, everything was in the triple digits. Not only that, I was suffering with the brain fog, forgetfulness, pretty much you name it. I had night sweats, blurry vision. I also, on top of that, had a GI issue that nobody knew what was going on either. So, like I say, my doctor now, she said it back then. She was like, oh, it's just the perfect storm. You're going into menopause. And I was like, well, what are we going to do about this? And I didn't like that answer. So I ended up firing her. But now it's been over a year and I went to all these different specialists and things like that. I can say that it was menopause, but there were other things that played a major part in it that she didn't, that I felt she didn't, listen to me.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, oh, well, that's just menopause and that's all, when it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
But.
So did she put you on any medicine?
She didn't put me on that, and to this day.
Yeah, that part doesn't sit right with me. Because sometimes it's not about rushing into medication. It's about not being left without support either. And I've seen that happen too.
The only doctor that gave me medicine was my cardiologist, and he'd give me metoprolol. And with my husband, we've been eating clean or trying to eat clean because we were trying to figure out what was going on. I almost became a vegetarian.
I don't know. Still not ruling that out. Or am I?
But the way that I changed my eating habits, and after my surgery, instead of taking metoprolol every day, I take it as needed. And knock on wood, so far I really haven't had to use it. Mm-hmm. My heart rate still has randomly jumped up almost to 200. And I don't know why. It did that once. And I think I went to a buffet and was tearing the shrimp up. And I think it may have been a lot of salt in a short amount of time and being real quick. I Googled it and it said that could happen, but I don't know. Mm-hmm. So I just been watching what I'm eating, trying to exercise more and more health conscious, eating herbs and more fruits and vegetables and things like that.
So when your heart rate speeds up like that, you just take a metoprolol?
I take a metoprolol and it brings it back down along with my blood pressure.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to a time when I had an episode where my heart started racing really fast and I didn't really know what was going on. And when I went to the hospital, I had a condition called tachycardia, where your heart would beat real fast and get out of rhythm.
Tachycardia, yeah.
And I was put on metoprolol for a while. But one of the things about metoprolol, it will cause you to gain weight. Mm-hmm. And it causes your body to retain fluid. And that's not good for the heart either. I was in the hospital. They tried medication, make sure the medicine would work first to get my heart to regulate itself. And if that wouldn't have been the case, they was going to try to shock it back into rhythm. Right. But it was able, after being in the hospital for a few days and on the medicine, it was able to regulate itself. And I had that episode one time, tachycardia. And what brought that on, I'm not really sure.
Right. That's the same thing with me, sinus tachycardia. When I tell you I was in the emergency room 55 times, from January to December, 55 times, and it was sinus tachycardia.
Did you notice maybe a certain trigger or something you would eat would cause it to raise? Or
I was looking at, it was stress. And then it was also, I believe, foods that I was eating, probably like salt and things like that. And then also, like I said, I just didn't know what was going on.
So going forward, do you feel like you're in menopause now?
Oh yeah, I've been in menopause. Premenopause back in March 23rd, 2023. That was it for me. And so apparently in the 2000s, that was the perimenopause. And then from 2023 on till now, it's been menopause. I just never really know what to expect.
Surprise, surprise.
I just thought it would be like, like a period, mood swings, cramping, or hot flashes. But they never said anything about high heart rate. They never said anything about high blood pressure. They never said anything about, if you had PTSD or anything else going on up there mentally, it can increase the, symptoms tenfold. And, that's what it was. It was like the doctor said, a perfect storm. Everything all together at once.
Yeah. So have your doctor recommended a hormone replacement for you?
No. Surprisingly, no one still says anything about a hormone replacement.
Are you still having hot flashes?
Not as much. I've been taking like beetroot powder, collagen. I take magnesium, ginger, turmeric, herbs and things like that to try and do things holistically. Yeah. And ever since, like I said, heart rate has been down, blood pressure has been down. So, yeah, no one said anything about HRTs yet.
Yeah.
So,
well, I tell you, menopause is real. It don't have an end date because, like I said, if I miss my medicine or miss getting my prescription filled and I'm off of it a few days, I have those symptoms, the hot flashes, the irritability. And, I'm just not a good person to be around when I'm out of my medicine.
So as long as you're taking it, you're good to go.
Good.
See, there you go. And not everybody has that experience on HRTs either. And I know some women they use like the creams or the patches, but you just take one pill.
I have one pill, a green pill. Be perfectly honest with you, I feel good. I hated having menstrual cycles. After I had my hysterectomy, I was thinking, man, I should have did this 10 years ago.
Right.
The misconception is, after you had a hysterectomy, you're thrown into menopause, you don't have desires. That's not true. I have a very healthy sex life, a very healthy sex drive, and it's the best thing that could have happened to me as far as I'm concerned, the way I feel about it.
So pretty much you're saying, and I'm glad I had someone to talk about this, there's still a healthy sex life after not only just menopause, but also after a hysterectomy.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
You had a total hysterectomy.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And I have a healthy sex life. I don't use any kind of lubricants. I don't need those. I have a desire. I have a healthy sex life, just put it like that. And it's not the end of the world. And men say, women aren't any good anymore after they've had a hysterectomy. They don't want to have sex. That's not the case. This has not been the case with me.
Right.
That is totally incorrect. That's false. And I think my libido was even better afterwards.
I've heard that too. I've heard that too. Well, Aunt Addie, I really appreciate this. Thank you so much. And y'all need to tune in and zone out.
You're welcome.
Mama never told us, but now we can talk about it.
Make sure to subscribe and share this episode if it resonated with you. It is now time to talk about it. I'll be right back. There's something about hearing a woman tell her story after she's already lived through it. There's no rush in it, no performance, just truth that had time to settle. And I don't know what part of that conversation stayed with you. Maybe it was something she said. Maybe it was something she didn't say. Maybe it was the space in between. But if you felt even a small moment of, that sounds like me, or I felt that before, then that matters. That counts. Because this isn't about getting everything at the right time. It's not about having all the information early. Sometimes it's about finally hearing something when you're ready to recognize it. Some things Mama never told us, but we're allowed to talk about them now. And we don't have to rush that. I'm really glad you came back. I'll meet you here again soon.